Hi and welcome to bexbugoutsurvivor, and today we're putting up the Gore-tex microclimate hammock. I'm out for the night to test it out, iron out some wrinkles. I'm going to have to get some of this pack a lot more condensed and hopefully onto a frame pack rather than Bergen. So the 58 sleeping bag will be exchanged for maybe the jungle sleeping bag and the fleece liner. That is really going to compact things. I'm not so bothered about the weight. I need it all compressed. What else can I change to make smaller? I've brought with me my quilted cotton hammock, and it's very nice. It's strong, there's no stretch, but it's quite bulky. Gore-tex Bivvy, there's no volume in that. Once it's rolled you can get that really small, and then I should be able to get everything on my frame pack rather than my Bergen. I'm going to put that up, get a brew on, and if you haven't seen the Gore-tex microclimate hammock, stay with me. As you can tell by the camera lens, it is really humid. There's a lot of moisture in the air. This is my hammock and Gore-tex Bivvy, and that's what I'll be stringing up first. I'll take my hood off. Oh, I'm roasting, absolutely roasting. Now my poncho might even double up as a basher. Hopefully that shouldn't be required. We've got quite dense canopy above. I'm using the yoga pad for insulation, and I've put a ridge line here. It comes low from the foot end, higher up onto the tree, and I've created this system where a Gore-tex Bivvy can go up around it here. I'm just hooked onto the suspension, the other end, and it's inside here that I'll be able to get my shelter. It should be nice and warm, but tonight is the test of that. Now I haven't brought a tarp with me, but I do have that poncho if I want to do a bit of admin, and I can drape it over here at the head end. But like I said, we got a good canopy tonight. Now I don't usually do inflatables. Last time I was here I just put the sleeping bag in the bivvy on top of the pad, and we did it that way, and I had an inflatable pillow, and I think if I'm lucky it'll be in the pack rather than that. Just roll jacket up. But I have brought with me a 3/4 length self-inflating mat just to give me even more insulation. There's only one thing better than hammock insulation in the bottom here, and that's 2 lots of insulation. I'm just going to help this along. Okay, that bit's done. So what have we got in here? This is the pattern 58 Arctic bag. Now this is the down bag with the feathers. As you saw, we've got a 3/4 length inflatable, my yoga mat which has reflectives taped on, and then to cover the whole lot I just put the bivvy around the whole deal, something like that. So that's everything from the main compartment of the standard Bergen. I brought with me my Mark 1 NBC smock, which might just double as a pillow for now, and got a lightweight stove set and 2 litres of water. The water are in 58 bottles with the 58 pat mug and cook cup as well, which is traditional for a lot of people who are preppers and bushcrafters. You'll recognise it. Got me a little bottle for the night. Last time I was out here 3 times I got up in the middle of the night, and every time I got up it chilled the system down and the sleeping bag went cold, and I had to warm it up again with my body heat. Nightmare. That's staying in, and when I've used it, it's going down the foot end. Now I have got an inflatable pillow. I'm going to get a brew on right now actually, and this is my complete mini stove set. There's a stove in there, there's fuel in there, there's a windshield, hopefully a lighter, and a spork. Just a hot brew will do for now. So this is the brew set, 58 cup, 58 drinks cup, 58 bottle. I'm going to get a brew on. Got really dry throat. One stove, fuel, windshield, spork, a couple of lighters. I'm going to make a start on this. Doesn't take hardly anything. Cows are out again, bull cows. I've been told they're not dangerous, but you don't know what to believe, do you? Little homemade cat wicking stove. It's ideal for this kind of setup. Now this system here doesn't really require a basher because the Gore-tex is going to keep everything pretty dry. The only exposed area is the head end here. I've draped my poncho over that bit. Alternatively, I have brought with me bungee cords and some ground pegs, and I could easily span this width of tree here, and we could actually have a diamond configuration basher put up with this, but I really do want to just test it just like this with the poncho over the head end, which was the way it was intended when I made it. I brought with me some real coffee. I'm not sure if I bought a coffee strainer. If I haven't, I'll just make it cowboy style. Coffee. Glasses on for this, can't see anything. It's going dark quick, just because it's been raining all day. It's not been nice. And there's all them cows again in the field. I don't like them. Oh, there's millions of them. Horrible things. Don't trust them. Usually I have a homemade lid for that cup, and what would you know, I can't find it. I've been changing the packs again last minute. I was determined to get everything out on the frame pack. It's just a little too bulky at the moment, the way it's set up. Right, we won't be too far off this boil. Bought some either lunch or dinner for tonight, and also a pasta for supper, something like that. I think I'll have that for breakfast, but I bought a porridge for that anyway. At last, sugar. And I'm just housing everything in stuff sacks. It's the easiest way I know how to keep everything together. Like I said, I can lose things, and of course that's not my fault. I lose things. It's called DOP, and if you Google that, it's a very real thing. It's called disappearing object phenomena, and I've had it a few times. For instance, I was looking, I forget what it was I was looking for, and I looked in the same place 3 times where it usually is. It wasn't there. About 2-3 days went past. I went back in my room and looked in the same place I looked 3 times. there it was. Disappearing object phenomenon. You Google that's real. That's happening to me. I'm losing everything. It's definitely not my fault. Coffee's been on the boil for about 2 or 3 minutes. Sugar. I like carrying sugar and whitener in these little packets. I used to carry everything out in tubs, and I just ended up taking home empty tubs that took up space in the pack. This takes up hardly any room, and when it's empty it'll take up even less. Okay, not only do I keep my little Yori bottle on the inside, I've got my knife here which I'm just going to clip on to the ridgeline, or just keep it inside with me. So I'll dig that out. I am going to use the blow up pillow because I'm getting a real chill. I've sweated, you see, as I walked in, and now that is chilling me. So the minute that happens, time to get your coat on. Oh, delicious. Nice little smock. And I've got the camping hood as well. So this is my camping snood, and it's a real blessing really in the night. I mean, I've got my woolly hat and everything, but this keeps my neck warm, and it's a nice combination with the Mark 1 smock as well. Lovely. Okay, while I tend to my brew, let's have a little chat about the system. If you want to make something like this, it's pretty simple. There's a how-to on the channel, but what you see is pretty much what it is. It's a Gore-tex bivvy that goes over your hammock system. I've incorporated a ridge line. There's only a couple of modifications really you need to do on it. And before I put sugar away, let's have a taste of this. Class, absolute class. Cowboy coffee. So the things that are in the pipeline is to condense the pack volume, and that means getting smaller things. Now if we swing over and have a look at this hammock, this is the 10th Wonder insulated cotton hammock. You know, it's really good. It's strong. I've had it a few years. It doesn't stretch. It's really comfortable, and the size is just right for me. But it doesn't pack down very well at all with it being cotton. So in the pipeline I have a similar sized hammock which is a lot smaller. Now I'm using 58 pack bag. If I can get away with using the jungle sleeping bag and a sleeping bag liner, I'm going to give that a go if I can get away with it. And I've got a homemade fleece liner. I've also bought one, and I'm going to try them both out, and that's going to save pack volume there. And as you saw, my stove set is minimal. That's it. It goes in your pocket. I've just got a windshield with it, a spork, a lighter, and obviously the fuel. Now usually that fuel is carried in a fuel bottle, but for me I've just bought that and put it straight in the pack. I don't know how much I'm going to use tonight or what I might need it for. I'm putting about 20 ml into the stove each time, and that's just enough for the boil. 20-25 ml, so 100 ml would probably do maybe 4 or 5 hot brews. Right, back over to the hammock, and I'm just going to have a sit down. You can use it just like any ordinary hammock until bedtime, where you pull the Gore-tex over your head, clip it on, and as you saw, I had a poncho just to cover the head end. Alternatively, with that poncho I could put up a basher shelter and peg it out. I have bought pegs and bungees just for that event should I need it. I'm not going to need it for sleeping in the poncho. It's more for admin, like cooking like this, washing in the morning, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need the poncho over the head end. Pillow's a little wet. Other than that, it's used just like a regular hammock. Right, apologies for the really poor light. It is going dark, so I'm going to plough through this before I jump in and test it out for the night. I will be diving out for more hot brews and a supper a bit later. Also, the suspension on this particular hammock is terrible. I'm going to move into some better light. I'm ordering a new hammock, which is probably going to come in the region of 600 grams. So it's all about condensing the volume in the pack rather than the weight. Like I said, suspension I can't wait to test out, but I've had to be really careful with the hammock to get one that just fits just me and this project. And my hammock is 8 foot by 4 foot, and I've got pretty close to that with parachute nylon, and given the stretch in it, I think I'll get away with this system in the parachute nylon hammock. Not a lot else really to show you. The rest is just the bare bones of testing this out. We're about 2 foot off the ground, 10 foot away, and about 20 foot away. Bit of camo netting on that won't disappear. Now I'm going to have to get a bungee and tie the Bergen up to a tree because I've got food in the Bergen, and last time we was here there was a couple of badgers knocking about, so they're bound to want a little nibble of my food. So currently everything does go into the Bergen. Okay, I'll give you an update. I can't face camera the other way, I've got no light. Now the hammock slipped again, crap suspension. I am going to change the suspension, it's actually in the post as we speak. The actual system is really warm, so I'm going to take off my Buffalo Mark 1 and just sleep in just my t-shirt. I'm keeping my pants on so far, but I can imagine them coming off as well. Okay, it's 9:30 and as you can see it's pretty dark, but you're under the actual hammock. I'm just doing a hot drink, and the hot drink is Horlicks. Miserable night, it really is. The clouds are sitting right on top of the hill, and I'm not far off the top of the hill. Everything is absolutely humid. Okay, I'm getting ready to turn in now. It's about 10 o'clock and I'm just having my Horlicks, a couple of sugars in, and it is gorgeous. Good morning, YouTube. I don't know what time it is actually. I'm going to have a look in a minute. It feels very light. I must have slept really well. It was a hot little system to start off with, but I've been having a bit of trouble with the lower insulation, and for some reason it kept slipping down the foot end. Cloud bank is very low again. Okay, let me show you around the setup. Now we've got a little more light. On the back of the tree, at head end, there's where I tied off my Bergen. There's my brew set. I'm going to set that up in a minute. And here is the pattern 58 DOS bag. I'm just airing it out for now. And inside the hammock is my yoga pad with reflective backing that I've gaffer taped on. And for some reason this was slipping down foot end. It was all bunched up at the foot end underneath. This is the 3/4 length inflatable. Again, this is incredibly slippy on any surface. But what I did do was put it behind my head and my neck. Put it lengthways, but going behind my shoulders, and I can tuck it right in. So when I lie down, it all stayed behind my shoulders and came right up and round. So instead of putting it lengthways, it went ways in the hammock. Now, I've never had slippage problems with the yoga mat before, not ever, and I've used it a fair few times. Same hammock, same silver reflective insulation, same yoga pad. It's always stayed put, and I've only changed one thing. The hood end of the bivvy now sits on top, and that can be fastened in to the ridgeline suspension. That's going to be easier to reach from the inside. The drawstring toddles would close this gap here, and I am going to clip this off the ridgeline, and that works fine like that. I haven't seen much in the way of nature or wildlife last night. It was very, very quiet. I didn't even bring a torch out because I knew there'd be enough light for the evening. I am going to swap this out, and I have something in mind. Now, it's about the same weight and the same volume to carry as my kit mat, and I won't tell you what that is until the next camp out. Now, when I started sleeping last night, it was incredibly warm in the bivvy. I'd taken the smock off, rolled it up, used that as the pillow, and I was really, really warm, plenty warm, and I was dozing off thinking I can get away with the jungle sleeping bag and maybe a fleece liner at a push, and that would get the pack volume right down. So I'm going to play about with what top insulation I bring out, whether it'll be the jungle bag and the fleece liner or the pattern 58. I'm in two minds about. I'm just going to add some coffee into my water. But on the whole, there's not a hell of a lot I would change with the system. It worked as I expected it would. I usually skip breakfast. I'm not a big breakfast person, but I always pack some porridge just if I need warming up. But I have packed just a little homemade MRE, about the same size as the British Army ration pack breakfast. I can get it pretty flat, pretty small, like that. The canteen system I would change out. The stove set, it's incredibly small, it's great. So the stove set here fits into the billy tin. I can put a plastic folder cup in with that as well, and just have one billy tin. The water I found it was a bit of a pig to carry 2 litres or 2 quarts in the rocket pocket. It felt its weight. Now I do have the USGI MWS sleep system, and that's £9. It's 5 kilos more or less, maybe a bit more. And I just loose fill that straight into the infantry bergen hanging on the back of the tree there. And I have a much heavier stove. I've got the Coleman's 533 Sportster, and the water I carry on a camelback, which just clipped onto the back. And for a system that's heavier than this, it carries better. So they're the morning updates from camp. Bingo. Next time you join me, I will have a different bottom sleep pad. So would I use the microclimate hammock system again? In a nutshell, yes, easily, in a heartbeat. Of course I would. It's waterproof, it's incredibly warm. I slept in just my t-shirt last night, just a t-shirt. I didn't have that bag over me at all until this morning when I woke up. It must have been, I think when I looked at the clock, it was 5:30, and I just grabbed it from my feet and pulled it up over my shoulders and got back to sleep.